This game against the Oklahoma Sooners is getting more massive by the second. We bring in Ole Miss legend Todd Wade to talk all about it next.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We're going to bring in Todd Wade, Ole Miss legend, offensive lineman, played in the NFL. He's going to tell us what he is thinking about the offensive line, what he thinks about the Oklahoma game, and what's going on with the Florida situation and what he's thinking about all of that as well. We'll ask his opinion to see what's up there. So thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen, and please give us a like, subscribe, and comment on your way out. Check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college and pro, is available. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Todd, one thing's interesting. Listen, Ole Miss was 1 fourth down stop away from beating the Georgia Bulldogs in Athens on Saturday. That what happened in the fourth quarter is going to erase a lot of opinions of everything else, but the reality is they were 1 fourth down stop that they could not make. So it's not necessarily a desperate situation going to Oklahoma, but with all the Florida Kiffin rumors and all of that, it feels like this Oklahoma game is garnered added significance.
Absolutely, and that 4th and 2 was brutal. Everybody thought they had them. Had they stopped them, I think most people would assume that Ole Miss would have won that game. That was tough to watch. I know the defense had their hands full. That they seemed almost dejected going into halftime, even though they came out and did everything they could to kind of keep their head up and keep playing. But once those big Georgia offensive linemen started leaning on them, the defensive linemen were hitting the wrong gaps. And they're running back. As an offensive lineman, you get excited about in situations like that, and you kind of can dig deep and it unifies the whole offensive line when you're able to start running the ball and doing those things. And when you can kind of sniff out a defense that's had their day, and that's basically what happened to our defense. And there was a lot at stake, but we have a nice opportunity here again, and I'm excited to watch this. I think it's actually going to be a better matchup for Ole Miss than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I thought that too. As I look into this game, this is a much better matchup for the Ole Miss Rebels than the Georgia Bulldogs was, because the Georgia game was going to be a physical game. Ole Miss runs a lot of drop 8 coverage for whatever reason. And most of the time when you have 5 offensive linemen and you're blocking 3 defensive linemen, you're going to win that 9 times out of 10. But Oklahoma, they don't run the ball that effectively. They've struggled for much of the year, which means you can get away with some of that drop 8 Mike Leach defense stuff that Ole Miss runs, because Oklahoma's offensive coordinator is kind of from that tree, right?
That's right. And you should note that Mateer, when he's under pressure, he's played pretty poorly. He's made some really poor decisions since he's been there. So it's now rushing 3. I don't think that's going to be enough. But the LSU's offensive line at the time, when we had a little more success doing that, was a little bit beat up. They didn't have everybody. They'd lost the starter before the game. Oklahoma's offensive line, they're not bad. They do a decent job protecting, but they're still a little inconsistent. I think there's pressure to be had on Mateer, and when there's pressure, he will throw a pick. So that's something that I'm hoping we can get to him. That would be nice. I think that's one of their weaknesses.
So looking at the Ole Miss defense and what they like to do, what do you think is the best way to, emphasize the strengths of the Ole Miss defense and kind of put the offensive line under pressure that doesn't require a complete schematic change after the Georgia game?
Right. It's really interesting. I kind of wish You kind of wish you could have been in the film room. I mean, it would have been brutal. I texted old teammates about that. I was like, can you imagine being on that defense and going to watch film on Sunday or Monday whenever they watch that game? That was a tough one. But they're not gonna you can reinvent themselves without reinventing the wheel. I think you can. I think they need to dig deep, look at some of the things that they have been able to accomplish and been successful at doing versus last week. But it is a copycat league, so they're going to Oklahoma is going to pay attention to what happened in the Georgia game and do their best to exploit that. But as I mentioned, I would like to see the defense mix some things up. I think we're going to need a little more blitzing with the linebackers. Do some things to surprise them. I have no problem with the three down front and having a larger secondary, but I do think when you have someone like Mateer who can be rattled and throw off his back foot, wild things can happen. So I would like to see some turnovers in this game.
Yeah, and this defense has struggled creating turnovers for the better part of the season. They had an interception against LSU. They had a fumble against Arkansas, but not much else. And sack-wise, there's no explosives getting to the quarterback as well.
No.
So that's weird.
Good to mix it up with the linebackers.
Yeah, this offense is pretty good, even compared to last year with the Jackson Dart and the Trey Harris and all. This offense has been really good. This defense has been pretty poor to this point. And going on the road to Oklahoma with all of the Florida noise that's down there, you obviously live in the ecosphere just like I do, so you hear it all. But with all of that, it just feels like this game's significance is even ratcheted up. I thought in the early part of the July season when I was doing W's and L's of all the games, it's like, okay, at Georgia, that's an L. At Oklahoma, that's probably an L. And I think Ole Miss is going to win the rest. At this point, I'm not 100% sure if that will be enough.
Yeah, I feel like we've got to have Oklahoma, or else we're going to end up in a situation like last year. There's just we just don't have enough strength left in the back end of the schedule to make up for that. If we're going to lose the game, I really I feel like after losing Georgia in that fashion, we really need this game for the morale of the team.
Yeah, because if Ole Miss loses this game, I think they lose another. Honestly, it's one of those situations. But if Ole Miss wins this game, I think they go 11-1. They just went out at that point.
Oh, absolutely. And look, we've been in really good shape with not having injuries. We still have a remarkably healthy team. And I guess maybe we have some of the younger people on defense. That's a good thing. They can turn around and get ready to play again. But and it's a lot for like a lot of the guys. You replace that many starters. That is a big learning curve for them. I was hoping to see them continue to get better each week and not have downfalls like this past week. But it's something to see. I'm really want to see. I'd like to see our offense. I was hoping that we do this against Georgia. I was wanting to see Trinidad run the ball more. I was wanting to see more quarterback draws. Get just into one, which is just in just Trinidad. I think when you can open it up like that, space it out, you can really do something special when you have someone that can run like that. I think that's really needed. Versus having a run back there. I'm just not. We tried to force that against Georgia, and that wasn't really successful. We've had some success during the year, but I would like to see Trinidad actually carry the ball more.
All right. Whenever we come back, we will talk about the Oklahoma defense and how Ole Miss can exploit it. And the third segment, remember, it's your segment. So have your questions in the chat. Put where you're asking your question from for Ole Miss legend Todd Wade and former NFL stalwart Todd Wade as well. But when we come back, we will talk more about that Oklahoma defense right after this. Let's be honest. Most people can't even name their financial accounts, much less what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, that's easy to lose track. And that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's helped me organize all of my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments, all without having to touch a spreadsheet. I love that I can review everything with my partner, see our shared goals, make better financial decisions together. Monarch's virtual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money is going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets to use if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many different ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you have a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcatcher you are listening to this on. It costs nothing but helps keep all of this free. Locked On is getting ready to change the game again, all in the name of having fun following your team. It's coming in December. Stick around for that. And don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. All right, Todd. One thing that's interesting to me, Brent Venables' defense is a hyper-aggressive defense. And in a way, it's the modern football equivalent, in my opinion, to what Joey Dunn used to do back in the day. Because they're coming from all angles. They're blitzing all over the place. How do you take advantage of that defense as an offensive lineman? Because when you look at all those blitzes and all that, it's designed to put you in conflict. So you obviously have to shore it up, but is there any way to take advantage of that?
I feel pretty confident in Trinidad in being able to. I think Lane will have them ready, knowing their hot reads, making the right decisions, being able to recognize things. They're certainly going to tip themselves in some areas. They do a lot of linebacker blitzes. They blitz from the corner, and been very successful at it. I don't see their defensive line as hot. I've watched a few of the games, and they haven't impressed me. I watched them against Texas, and I didn't walk away as impressed as I thought I would be. They're very beatable, and I tell you what, our offensive line has done a really good job protecting the passer. He's done a really good job in the protections for the most part, and they've continued to improve. I think earlier in the year when we talked, that was a big concern of mine, and they've done exactly what I was hoping they would do. They've improved. So I was wanting them to, when I was describing the Georgia offensive line in the second half, starting to lean on people, get excited about getting first downs. I would like to see our offensive line kind of morph into that attitude. But to me, I'm pretty optimistic about our pass pro against their defense and being able to handle the blitz.
Yeah, and if you're able to do that, it comes down to the fact that as long as you don't throw picks, this offense should be okay against that defense, right?
That's right. And Chambliss is special in avoiding sacks. There's a lot of guys out there, a lot of quarterbacks, and you go back to like guys like Michael Vick. You would automatically think, okay, this guy's the fastest guy in the league. Well, they're not going to be able to sack him. Well, he got sacked more than anybody. Some people, it doesn't really matter how fast you are, but it's more of your instincts and how you handle the rush. Guys like Trinidad do a really good job of avoiding getting sacked. So I'm pretty optimistic about our offensive line and how they're going to be able to handle it, and Trinidad as well.
All right. So just overall 30,000 view. How do you think Saturday is going to go for Ole Miss?
We have to have this game. The team knows it. We've just went through a huge emotional game in Georgia. The defense, I'm sorry I'm being long-winded here because I'm thinking through this here. Defense has had a lot to think about, a lot of soul searching, and there's some things that they've had to work on a lot this week to improve. But Oklahoma has its weaknesses. Offensively, I want to see us turn it up a notch offensively and get excited, getting first downs, and really getting that mode where they're kind of become alpha dogs out there and to take that next step. I'd really like to see that. But I already know what I think. Oklahoma have their weaknesses, and you can go back and watch the Texas game, and they're beatable. And I think we need this game so much. I think Kiffin is when he's kind of talks a little trash, we they have a little more confidence about this game than I think a lot of people realize.
And you're about my age, and you remember those old Nebraska-Oklahoma games from back in the 80s and all that. Do you remember the crown on Owen Field at Oklahoma? It was like 18 inches, like they were playing on a roof of a house.
Yeah, I do.
That's the one thing I think about is those old Oklahoma-Nebraska games and that crown of the field. And that is weird that's my childhood memory of Oklahoma. Not Brian Bosworth, not Jamel Holloway or Creek Jackson. It's that dang field.
That's an interesting thought. I was thinking Barry Switzer and just thinking that big 12 just kind of swagger. Everything they had going on back then, and an attitude. I guess that might have been the old Southwest Conference at the time. Is that right?
They were in the Big Eight.
Big Eight. Excuse me. But those were some good times. But it's interesting you mentioned the crown. I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah, it was crazy just thinking about it back when they had the old turf on the field. So it literally looked like they were playing on the roof of a house. It was so
a lot of casualties out on that field.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, when we come back, we will take your questions. If you ask a question to Todd Wade, please put where you're asking the question from. We will give you the third segment in this show as soon as we come back. College football is back, and man, I could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing quite like it. But let's be real, y'all. Actually getting tickets to the game can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at kickoff. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets and the best prices and no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple of taps, I saw some amazing deals. Now, I am talking about your favorite college football games for about $25. I love zone deals too. What are zone deals? Well, you pick a section, they pick the tickets, you save money. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, Todd, let's go into the little chat and see what we have going. I have not looked at these questions ahead of time, so we're in for a little bit of a treat right here, I think, potentially. Let's see. King of the Throne said Georgia had to be nearly perfect to beat Ole Miss. Oklahoma will lose by 2 touchdowns. If Oklahoma loses by 2 touchdowns at home, Norman will riot. They will. That's just the way they handle that stuff. All right, here's a question from William Balls. Do you think Ole Miss will make the college football playoffs, Todd?
I do, particularly if we win this weekend.
Yes, I do think that this game has an added level of importance because LSU has tanked the season so hard. Everybody thought that LSU win was going to be the resume win. They were going to go 9-3 or something like that. This LSU team, Todd, they could go 7-5, 6-6.
Oh, yeah. It looked good on paper for a little bit.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it didn't. They went up to Vanderbilt and got absolutely manhandled. And it wasn't the offense that cost them the game. It was their $20 million defense that cost them that game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Vanderbilt ran hard against them. And it was really interesting to see just they had a little attitude about them, like they belong. They looked as much like they belonged there as any other team. I was walked away really, really impressed with Vanderbilt after that game.
It's amazing. You look at the top 10. The top 10 right now. Indiana is ranked second in the country. Vanderbilt is number 10, and Georgia Tech is number 7. Those are 3 schools that 10 years ago, you couldn't even fathom them being anywhere near that.
No, Indiana, not at all.
Yeah. It's weird. Let's see. King of the Throne says a 2-loss SEC team not in the playoffs is insane. Yeah, you have to wait and see who goes 10-2. You don't know how it's going to play out because there's still 5 games left to go.
Well, just like you said, LSU, that's the same thing. We really just don't. It's just, I mean, look at how many teams just in the top 5 all year round. It's just a shuffle. It's like get in, get out. It's like getting to the club and getting kicked out. People think they belong there, then they're out. So we were one of them. So you got to earn it to get back in there.
Yeah, it's the parody is nice. Honestly, I do enjoy the parody. All right. Avery Cooper says, win or lose against the Sooners, I don't think I have confidence in our defense to close out close games, which both Florida and State will be. What are your thoughts on those games? You think the defense can handle Florida and State? Because both of them have physical type running games as well.
That's right. At this point, no. But a lot can happen. A lot can happen in a week. And they can have their moment and get serious and figure things out, because that was a mess. It wasn't just physical either. There were mental errors. There were things that were very easily avoidable. I was really surprised in the Georgia game. Lucky their tight end. We weren't jamming him at the line. He was just kind of a wide receiver running wild. There were some things I thought we could have done to prevent a lot of that stuff. But then when you have mental errors like that, and it got free in the end zone, there's not much you can do. But you can correct that.
All right. Corey Cagle says Keywan Lacey is the way you take advantage of the Oklahoma defense with the quarterback run and throw into the halfback. So that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I definitely think the quarterback run and throwing it to the halfback. I would like to see. If it was up to me, I'd rather see Trinidad carry the ball just about every time.
Yeah.
As far as
now
as true run. Lacey, I like Lacey, but I think when you have someone that Trinidad is unique in how he runs the ball, and I actually like that he's a little shorter. Guys like that just kind of can blend in and they're gone. And I think it's very unique, and I thought we didn't use him enough in quarterback draws. That's also a great tool for offensive linemen, for offensive tackles. Give them the draw when they're getting that heat. That will wear on those defensive ends. It's really effective, and when you have someone that doesn't mess around, but they actually hit the hole hard like Trinidad, I'm all for it.
All right. So before I let you go, before we get out of here, we obviously have to talk about the Lane Kiffin and Florida smoke and rumors that's all over X and the internet at the moment. Like Pete Naco's on 3, everybody is like, hey, Florida is going completely after Lane Kiffin. I was like, well, that's great. Lane Kiffin has to want to go there is the problem. It has to be a reciprocated relationship.
I don't see, you know, I think a lot of people would have a hard time reading Lane's head on just about on anything, but I just don't see it. I don't see, you're in a really good position at Ole Miss, and you can truly build something special. It's not about money. Honestly, I would think it'd be going to a greater chance he'd go to the Dolphins than the Gators. You know, I think, I think some people have always assumed his love for saltwater fishing and things like that would bring him into Florida, but Gainesville, I mean, he can he's still got to travel. So,
Yeah.
that's not necessarily it. I think it's very difficult to go into anywhere and start from scratch, going back to recruiting, doing everything else, um, finding your new NIL guy. Someone like Walker Jones at Ole Miss. That's very valuable having your guy. Having all the other things in the program, some staff will stay, some won't. You're kind of starting over. So that's something most head coaches are going to think about, but it's really not. It's not going to be about the money. Ole Miss will match whatever Florida's going to throw at them. So it's just if Lane just wanted some fresh opportunity, but it makes no sense really. His family wants him there. Knox just threw a game-winning touchdown in overtime for the Chargers. So I, I don't know that. I don't think it's time. I don't think it's time for him.
Yeah, it's one of those things that people don't understand why I think that he would stay, and it's because of everything you just said. Florida, yes, they have the 2005 cachet of what's going on and how you look at a college football program of being a bigger brand. But Lane Kiffin literally tells every recruit to come on campus. Would you rather do something for the first time and make your own way or do something that's already been done? And this is doing something his own way that's never been done.
Absolutely, and with multiple 10-win seasons, could certainly have another one this year. You're knocking on the door. You're getting really close, and there's just some things like recruiting and some other little pieces of the puzzle that need to be fixed. But he's close. You at least get in the playoffs. So then we'll see. So that could be this year. If not, it could be next year. But I don't see it.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting. Anyway, what do you got going on this weekend, bud?
This weekend, I'll be around here, but I'm about to, I mentioned to you earlier, I'm about to go get on a boat at, let's say 8:30 now. It's about 9 o'clock. I'll be on the Indian River going snook fishing with a buddy of mine. So that'll be interesting. I've yet to catch a snook, so we'll spend some time.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. You have to let me know exactly how that goes the next time we talk. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by and being on the show, and we'll talk to you later, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves in offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. If you don't believe me, Google Ole Miss podcast and see how much the show comes up. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show. It's absolutely free. Your support means the world to us. And another big moment for Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. It's a college football preview that only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word for bad football. We'll see you later.